Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back to a new match preview on the channel. Hope you guys are keeping well. Wolves host Brighton this weekend, a Sunday afternoon kickoff at Molineux in the final game before yet again another international break. Wolves and Vitor Pereira still searching for their first Premier League victory of the season. The last sort of 10 days or so was fairly productive. Another win in the Carabao Cup to send us into the last 16. And of course, getting our first league point of the campaign last weekend, albeit with a late goal conceded, which was a real sort of sickener against Tottenham Hotspur. So close to our first 3 points of the campaign. However, we play against Brighton this weekend, the team that you could class as Wolves' bogey side. You'll see the match stats and facts pop up on the screen throughout the video, and of course we'll have the opposition perspective a little bit later on, but I'm just having a quick look now through some of them, and you will see some popping up, and they really don't look good in Wolves' favour, to be completely honest. But yeah, like I said, last weekend was productive for Wolves. I think, you know, a change of system at the start of the game, which surprised a lot of people. Wolves held their own really well, sort of saw it switch back a little bit to the back five in the second half. And again, Wolves producing and being a constant threat throughout the game. And it's just that little sort of, I don't even know if it was a lack of concentration towards the end of the end of the match, but obviously João Palhinha ended up getting the equalising goal for Tottenham. So all focus on this game now. Brighton, 6 games in, 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats. Like I've said, a real difficult side for whatever reason for Wolves. I'm just hoping that something can surprise us and they can surprise us, and before this international break, I fully believe a win for Wolves will just make the league table potentially look completely different, and from really doom and gloom just a couple of weeks ago to looking at a lot better and more like something that we can build on for the next few weeks, again before the next international break, because I think there's an international break in November as well. We had Vitor Pereira's pre-match press conference today. Again, a few things mentioned, talking about Sam Johnston's inclusion, and how he's actually been surprising, and people are on board now with him being in the team. I mentioned it on our podcast. It's fantastic in a way with how quick the opinions can change of certain players. Sam Johnston was a player that I think every Wolves fan would have been open to letting go in the summer, and now he's given the opportunity, and I think at the moment, touch wood, he's taking it quite well, and hopefully he can continue to do so. Hopefully backs it up with a clean sheet or, you know, a real decent performance on Sunday as well. But Pereira said, you know, players deserve their opportunities, and when they get the opportunities and they continue to play well, they'll keep their place in the team. He mentioned that obviously after the Leeds game as well, there was a number of changes compared to the Tottenham game, and it's because Wolves weren't winning games, and he made positive changes, in my opinion, on last weekend, and it worked for Wolves. So I will be very interested to see how he sets up and starts on Sunday, to be honest, in terms of shape and in terms of a formation. In terms of the availability of players, Matt Doherty is completely ruled out of the team. He had a wrist injury anyway that he's been nursing pretty much since August, but now he's having surgery on that injury, so he's not going to be available, and he's not in the Ireland squad for the internationals either. With the time of year, there's a little bit of flu going around at the moment, so Totti Gomez has had that, so he's going to be a doubt this weekend. Let's hope that it doesn't spread to other members of the squad as well. And Jørgen Strand Larsen still isn't up to 100% fitness. They're looking after him, but again, he's still training with the team, but it's something that Wolves do have to be aware and cautious of. So that sort of, for my predicted lineup, makes it quite an interesting task in terms of who starts and who doesn't. I'll flag it up on the screen now. I do feel, especially after he switched to it in the second half, and I think without Matt Doherty, I think we probably will switch back to the back five, to be completely honest. I think it'll be Sam Johnston goal, back five. Back three rather, of Ladislav Krejci, Santiago Bueno, who, you know, deserves full praise for his performance against Tottenham. Emmanuel Agbadou on the right of that, or possibly him in the middle and Santi on the right. I think Jackson Chichua will come in as the right back, Hugo Bueno as the left wing back. Andre and João Gomes to keep their places in the team, and I think once again you'll probably see a front three of Marshall Manetzi, Jean Arias. And I'm going to go with Tolu. I think if the fact that Jørgen Strand Larsen has been mentioned as a doubt means that Tolu Rokodare may well start. However, I wouldn't be surprised to see Jørgen Strand Larsen start, and as we have seen for the last couple of weeks, get sort of the 50-60 minute mark, and then maybe look to bring Tolu on. But that's the team I'm half expecting to see come sort of 12:45, 1 o'clock on Sunday when the lineup is announced. Let me know your thoughts, of course, in the comment section down below on what you think on that one. And before we kick off with the opposition perspective, be sure to go and check out our channel partners over at Betmate. The QR code has been on the screen throughout the video, but they will have a special Brighton versus Wolves pot, or Wolves versus Brighton pot, I should say, for you guys to get involved with if you wish. So be sure to go and check that out using the QR code on the screen or the link in the top of the description. But we will move on now to the opposition perspective. It was great to chat and catch up with Joe, who is a Brighton fan, who gives us his thoughts on the Seagull season so far and what he's expecting going into this weekend's fixture. So then, guys, delighted to be alongside Joe from the Albion Obsessed podcast to talk all things Brighton ahead of this Sunday's game. Joe, thanks for jumping on. How you keeping, mate?
Yeah, not doing too bad, thank you. Sorry, tech issues galore today, as I said to you off air. Yeah, not doing too bad, mate. Looking forward to another Premier League weekend. Really annoyed that there's going to be another blooming international break afterwards. Yeah. But yeah, hopefully we can keep our momentum going and then push that on further after the international break as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because it's been a decent start, I would say, for Brighton. Equal wins, losses, draws so far, 2 of each. How have you made, or what have you made rather, to the start of the season so far?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at last season's sort of mirrored fixtures, then we got a lot more points out of the fixtures that we've played last season than what we have this season. So you could say it's a bit of a slow start by the end of last season's standards as well. I think we won our last 5 games at the end of last season, so we were on a really good run that, you know, we only just missed out on European football. So I think that maybe has played into the fact that we started a little bit slowly this time, a little bit of disappointment lingering. But we've just won 3 out of our last 5 games. Obviously, one of those being in the League Cup. But you know, we've had some really positive results: a win against City, a draw against Tottenham, and then obviously turning Chelsea over is always nice for us, given the history between us over the last few seasons. £300 million and 3 points, we'll take it. So, yeah, it's, as I say, been slow, been inconsistent, been frustrating, but I think we're starting to pick up a little bit now.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like the managers and so on, you got a lot of success under Potter, and obviously that went on with De Zerbi as well. Fabian Herzler, I think there was always going to have to be sort of an element of patience with that appointment due to, you know, his lack of experience, you could say, and obviously being a slightly younger manager. But sort of, you've had your full 12 months of him so far. You're coming into his second full season now. What's your stance on him as a manager? Do you think he's still got a lot more to give, or do you think he needs a little bit more improvement this season to get the backing of more fans?
There's been moments last season where people have been questioning him, and I think some of it has been fair. Obviously, the 7-0 loss against Nottingham Forest was a horror show. Not beating 9-man Crystal Palace was pretty poor as well. Losing to Crystal Palace at home was really hard to take. But what I looked for was I was hoping that he would learn very quickly with some of the way we've lost leads. You know, we've been 2-0 up and then drawn it 2-2. At the end of the season, we saw progress. And I think that's given me a little bit of hope that he will be the right man to take us forward. As you say, he's a very young manager, not much experience at all at the highest level. So we've got to be patient with him, and I think if we are patient with him and we build the squad that he wants, he is a very capable Premier League manager. So I think he's doing a good job at the moment. And the question I always ask people is, okay, if Fabian Herzler was to go, who would come in and do a better job than what he is doing? And he has done a good job. You'd have to be looking at crazy wages for coaches that would be way out of our reach. So I think we've got a good thing going.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think especially if you sack him mid-season, I don't think there's anyone in that sort of Brighton mould, I don't think. I think it would have to be, like you said, you'd have to pay some serious money to get someone, I think, that would be close to sort of continuing the momentum that Brighton as a club have had. What's the expectation, though, for you guys? Because you've sort of gone from a team obviously similar to us really in the Championship now into the Premier League, but consistently sort of off the field as well, being very successful in terms of turning a profit on players, but then sort of knocking on the door and getting European football as well. Is that sort of the ongoing aim now for Brighton? Do you think just continuing to sort of finish top half and continuing to knock on the door for European qualification?
Yeah, our chairman has come out and said that he wants consistent European football for Brighton. Doesn't matter which one it is. Actually would like to see us in the Conference League because I feel like we could go on and maybe win that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he said he wants silverware. And I know that people will look at that and laugh. Little old Brighton wanting to win a trophy, but
That's what
what we've
Palace do
seen
last season. Why? Yeah, why not?
exactly what we've seen over the last 10 years is that these clubs can break the mold.
For sure.
So and that's what we've been doing as a club for the last 5 years is breaking that mold, bringing in players for little to no money and then selling them on for crazy amounts. And it's a frustrating model sometimes as a fan because you want to keep your best players and you want them to be successful with you. But from where Brighton have come from, we never want to be in that position again, and we're now in probably one of the best financial situations any club has ever been in. So we're quite lucky in that sense, but it's a great foundation for us to then go on and build and challenge the establishment, as Fabian Hertzler likes to say. And I think we've got enough to do that. It's just about realising that potential.
Yeah, I think there's many clubs now that are sort of trying to do a Brighton in terms of the sort of flipping and getting a quick profit on certain players. Wolves have tried to do it over the last couple of years, trying to be this sort of self-sustainable model. And we have seen it with some players where we've turned a profit on them. But I think a lot of it is about the incomings as well. Wolves have really struggled to bring in players of similar quality or better quality, whereas Brighton have done it time and time again. Who's the sort of player, not that you would want to wish that your players are going to move on for big fees, but in that current Brighton squad at the moment, who do you think is the next big sell? I mean, Baleba, could be the obvious one. Is there anyone else that's sort of standing out for you in that Brighton squad as well?
I mean, I think a lot of people maybe gloss over him sometimes. Jan-Paul van Hecke, I think he's probably one of the best defenders outside of the big six, if you like. I think he would walk into many sides in world football. He's so confident on the ball. He's so tenacious in the way he likes to go about defending. He's not exactly the slowest either. And he's come on leaps and bounds. So I've got no doubt that he's still young, that he can go on and push even more to be Bayern Munich starting centre back or whoever he wants to go to. So that's slightly worrying because, as I say, you want to keep hold of your best players, and Carlos Baleba has been part of that sort of rotation in midfield of Basuma goes, Caicedo, and then Caicedo goes, and then we got Baleba. Can we do it for a fourth time? Is going to be something that's going to be quite worrying. But this club have given us so many reasons to trust them in terms of their recruitment. So we're in the safest possible hands we can be. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to the future to see who else we can uncover, because it's quite crazy.
Is there anyone else? Well, are there a sort of portion of fans that still sort of question the policy or question the club at times? I suppose there's always going to be a portion of every fan base. I mean, I see it with Wolves throughout the summer. I mean, I don't think we had the best of windows, but even when good things happen, you still get the minority sort of throw question marks or throw negativity towards what's happening at the football club.
Yeah, I think it's very important to have that balance sometimes as well, because
of course,
that comes from wanting this club to do as well as it can do. So there's certainly been times where another rumour of Carlos Baleba, £100 million. When is it going to end? And the thing that we have to realise as Brighton fans is that until we get to a level where we can pay big money and big wages, it won't end. It's just a part of accepting your role in the circle of life in
food chain.
football.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I know that's horrible to say that we're lower down the food chain and we're not as big of a club as some other people. And I hate the big club, small club arguments, because your club is your club.
Of
So
course, yeah.
it doesn't matter where you are in the food chain. You're going to support it no matter what. And yeah, but as I said, there are those frustrations that come and question marks, because I think the extra impatience has come from Crystal Palace winning their first couple of
Yeah, that probably
trophies.
doesn't help.
Um,
Yeah.
so now we're saying, well, we've had all of this money come in, we've had the European, adventure. What's
Yeah.
next for us? And we need to be pushing for a League Cup or an FA Cup, to sort of solidify that growth.
Yeah.
But when you look at it as a whole, this football club has come from right at the bottom of English football, a point and a goal away from not existing, to playing in the Europa League. So I think we can be pretty proud when we look back on the journey of this club, no matter whether we get a trophy or not.
Yeah, exactly. I was just thinking back to some of the players. I mean, we had the conversation just then about players who may go on for big fees. I was watching a week or two ago the Carabao Cup results and the highlights. I mean, you've had two massive wins in that competition so far, anyway. But the new lad, he scored 3 or 4 goals last week. Is he from Paraguay? Is he? I think.
Yeah, Diego Gomez. He
Yeah.
came in last season. I'm a follower of Inter Miami because I am a Messi fanboy. I know. Imagine my shock. But when I was watching them last season in the MLS, I was like, this Diego Gomez guy is unreal. And then I've got a Paraguayan friend who's in the Paraguayan media, and he was like, by the way, he's coming to Brighton. And I was like, solid. And yeah, he's been one of the most exciting players. He's got a really good work ethic about him, really professional, will play anywhere in the midfield, he will do whatever the manager asks of him. And I think that just goes to show what a great character he is.
Yeah.
Even after scoring 4 goals, he's not letting his head go in the clouds. He's keeping his feet planted on the ground,
Yeah.
and then he's working hard to get us 3 points at Stamford Bridge the next week. So yeah, he's got a really exciting future, and very very excited by what he can provide this season.
Yeah, I think it was his hat trick goal was an unbelievable finish, wasn't it? Was it on the half volley
Yeah,
from
there were
about
a couple.
35-40 yards?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
ridiculous. We
scored a
were
cracking
doing a
goal.
live watch along for that one, and yeah, one of the reactions from one of our guys was hilarious. But yeah, it was great fun to watch.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, I looked the other day at Wolves' record against Brighton, and it is awful. I think it's 2 league wins for Wolves in about 20 years. We haven't got an awful record against you guys in the league. What do you make of Wolves so far? I mean, it's been a struggle for us, but we did get our first point, a much more promising week last week. And any Wolves players that you sort of fear going into Sunday's game?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a struggle for you guys, hasn't it, over the last few months?
Yeah,
I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be a Wolves expert.
yeah, of course, yeah.
I'm not 100%. I haven't watched many of your games, to be honest. But obviously, you guys have had a great history in the Premier League over the last sort of 10 years, and you've had some great players, and you want to get back to that stage. I remember one season you pretty much had a whole Portuguese squad. I don't know if your Portuguese contingent is still
We got a
around.
little one. Yeah, we got a little bit of one. Yeah.
That's good. It's nice to have continuity at least.
Yeah,
But I think that the one player I'm sort of looking at is Strand Larsen. I think he's
of
quite
course, yeah.
a prominent figure up front for you guys, and something that we struggle to deal with is a big physical striker. So if he can get that going on Sunday, we might not have a great time. But has he been injured or so?
He's been sort of in and
I think
out,
he come
yeah.
back.
So
Yeah.
yeah, he's played the last couple of games. So yeah, I don't think he's fully fit yet, and he's still not scored a goal in the league so far this season. To be fair, so we're waiting for his first Premier League goal of the
It'll
season.
come on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. We've got him and Tolu Arokadare as well, big Nigerian forward, 6'5" as well. So got some interesting physical options up there, to be fair. So it'll be interesting. But we've been awful at home so far this season in the league as well in terms of results. Lost against City, Everton, and Leeds. So again, looking for our first points. But like I said, if the history between these two teams, we have got an awful record against you guys. Score prediction then, Joe. What are you thinking going into Sunday's game then?
I mean, I think I've got to go confident on the back of 2 wins. And I have vowed to myself that whenever I go on opposition podcasts, that I will always go with my heart. So
You have to back your team, yeah.
I will say 3-0 Brighton. But my head is saying something very different. But I'll keep that. I'll keep that aside.
Yeah, it'll be. I mean, if that is the final result, I can't imagine what the sort of atmosphere would be because I mean, we're going to the new international break on 1 point. However, on the flip side of that, if Wolves do win, I think the league table will look completely different and a lot more promising in Wolves' favour, considering a lot of Wolves fans were very doom and gloom sort of 2 or 3 weeks into the season. So, be interesting to see. Joe, thanks for jumping on. Where can people find you and your content if they wish?
Yeah, no worries. So I'm on X, as BHAFC, or if you want to follow my podcast, it's Albion Obsessed. I will give a shout out as well to the amazing work that we did a couple of years ago. And I know I'm bigging myself up, but we did a documentary on our old home, the Withdean Stadium, where we got access all areas. So if you want to learn a little bit more about our history in the early 2000s, go over and watch that. It's great fun.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks a lot for jumping on, mate. And yeah, I'm sure I'll catch up with you for the reverse fixture as well. And apart from Sunday, best of luck for the rest of the season, mate.
And you, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy. So big thanks to Joe for that. I'll make sure I leave a link to him and his podcast in the channel description down, the video description, I should say, down below. And let me know your thoughts and score predictions as well, guys. Do we have that feeling that Wolves are going to get something out of the game? It's crazy how much things can change and how positive things can be, despite your team sort of sat at the foot of the table. I'm just going to quickly look at the Premier League table right now. And Wolves, of course, bottom. But 1 point. If we get a win, obviously a couple of results have to go our way, but we go to 4 points. Firstly, we may come off the foot of the table, which would be fantastic to see. But secondly, all of a sudden, you're just within an arm's width again, or within reach of getting another couple of positive results. Sunderland and Burnley are the 2 fixtures after the international break. Sunderland have had a brilliant start. Burnley, not so much. They're fixtures that if Wolves can get positive results out of, again, going into the next international break in November, it looks like a completely different league table. So let's hope that Wolves can get a positive result. I don't think a draw would be a bad result for Wolves on Sunday. However, a win would be fantastic. And just to get off that winless record, 7 games without a win isn't great viewing. So get a win. Get ourselves all being well off the foot of the table, and we'll see where we are from there. But guys, as always, thank you very much for watching today's video. Hit that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you very, very soon.